project delays, redevelopment issues, society formation, or creating gift deeds. If you have any legal queries regarding property, you've tuned in to the right show. Hello and welcome. You're watching Property Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan, on Magic Bricks Now. And our special guest for the day is Vinay Singh. Vinay is a legal and tax expert. And yes, he will be answering all your legal queries today. Vinay, welcome to the show. Let's get started with an email query that's come in. Now, Sam has written in and wants to know if a society should opt for a housing society or a condominium since it is going in for redevelopment. He also wants to know if the members can reject the condominium outright. Now, Vinay, before you answer the question, why don't you start by explaining what is the difference between the condominium and the housing society? Because this is not something a lot of people are familiar with.
Yes, actually there is a lot of confusion in people's minds. Originally, there is a lot of apartment owners acts in various states. Now, what this basically does is it takes care of a situation where because of a lesser number of members, you are not able to form a society. What you can do is you can form a condominium by registering a declaration under the act, and you could do it with the minimum of 5 members. So what then happens is that your unit, you are the owner of your unit, and you also have an undivided share in the common areas and facilities. So that would be a percentage of, say, your carpet area divided by the total carpet area of the units. So this becomes a heritable kind of an asset, which means that you can will it, you can transfer it without having to go necessarily to the co-owners. So it's a popular model. It need not be in cases where society can't be formed. I mean, you have large condominiums also with hundreds of flats. Essentially, the difference is that in the society owns the property, the society is either the lessee of the land or the owner of the land, as the case may be. But the structure definitely is owned by the society. As a society member, you hold a number of shares, either 5 or 10 like in Maharashtra, and you have the right to occupy that particular unit. In the condominium, you are the owner of the unit, you have an undivided share, so there's a direct ownership which is yours. Having said that, in the manner of functioning, etc., there is not that much difference. But societies tend to be much more regulated because, it's an omnibus kind of a law which takes care of everything from a 10-member housing society to a sugar cooperative. So that is the essential difference, but it should not impact a member in the day-to-day working. So there's not much difference there.
Not much difference, but let me get one bit right. You said that the society is the owner or the lessee of the land, which I'm assuming that the title, which is what we essentially call conveyance, is in the name of the land title, is in the name of the society, is what you're saying?
No, not necessarily. You see, for example, very popular model in Maharashtra and in Mumbai especially, the land could be owned by Mahada, by the collector, by SIDCO, by
No, I'm talking of a privately built structure. Who owns the land? If the builder has given possession and moved out of the premises, who owns the land if the conveyance also has been given?
So yes, so see, you have to understand one thing, that in India it is possible for the owner of the structure and the owner of the land to be different people. So this is possible. So what happens is the land could be of any nature. It could be freehold owned by the society. I mean, the builder might own it and transfer it. Or as I said, it could belong to one of the agencies and a private building can be built on that. Now, if it is a leased land, obviously the society would become the lessee. Like for example, SIDCO does, or BMC does, or Mahada does.
Right.
So these are leased lands, but the building is a private building constructed by a private builder.
So
what
the
he will
essential
convey,
difference here,
he will convey the structure.
So essential difference here is that I own the house that I live in if I am in a condominium. While if I am in a society, I own a share in that entire housing complex.
You own 5 shares or 10 shares now as per the new bylaws, and that entitles you to occupy the unit that you have purchased.
What are the pros and cons? So say if I go with a condominium, am I losing out on something?
Not really. As I said, you'll not lose out on anything. It is just that, it's 2 different acts. And the manner in which you transfer units probably is different. In a society, you would just make a sale deed or a conveyance deed and transfer those shares and whatever rights are attached. But in the condominium, you would have to make what is called a deed of apartment.
Okay.
And there is no other way of transferring other than that deed of apartment as per the law.
Right. And very quickly, the other thing that I've heard is that versus a society, the law is still quite, fluid as far as a condominium is concerned, because the condominium is a new concept, a far newer concept than the society, which, like you said, is like an omnibus rule, omnibus law. And what I've been told or what I've heard is also that if you were to enter into litigation, there are far more precedents that you would find under the Housing Society Act, which rather than the condominium, and in that sense it would be more advantageous for people to go in for the housing society. Is that true?
No, that is true that there would be many more cases, but as we said that the law is entirely different there, and I don't really perceive much of an advantage. In fact, I would find that it is much more over-regulated, and given the amount of confusion, at least in Maharashtra as far as the cooperative law is concerned, and personally if you were to ask me, I think you'll be happier with a condominium.
You'll be happy with a condominium. So quickly, let me take you through the differences. Condominium is something that you can opt for even if you have only 5 members within the complex, whereas in a society you need much more members. In a condominium, you are the owner of the property. You also have a share in the common area and the facilities. However, if it's a housing society, you own a share in the overall complex, and you also have, which includes the structure, the facilities, amenities, etc. that is being given to you, and you also have the right to occupy the flat. Now, housing societies obviously is governed by the Society Act, like Cooperative Societies Act, like Vinay told us, while this comes under the Apartments Act, right, Vinay?
Apartment Owners Act.
Apartment Owners Act. So there are 2 different acts that you'll have to work under. The Housing Societies Act has been in force for a far longer time, so there is a lot of jurisprudence, there are a lot of precedents that have come in, a lot of court cases and orders over there. This is a far newer act. So at the end of the day, it's a decision that you need to take, whatever, is convenient for your entire society, or for your entire housing complex is the way to go eventually. Vikas Mohanty has dialed in from Bhubaneswar. How can we help you, Mr. Mohanty?
Ma'am, good evening. This is Vikas. Actually, I do have a questions to your legal panel. Actually, I do have a 2-room flat, 2-bedroom flat, which I have purchased around 2004. It was being approved by a private bank, and I have taken a home loan over there.
Okay.
After some time, I came to know that that particular plot is having a status of not final patta.
Not final patta. Okay.
Yes, the holding. After that, when I start to sell that particular flat, no other banks are giving any loan to the new buyer. My question is, do I have a legal remedy on that? Actually, they have filed a case against the builder in the High Court, and this case is still pending.
Mr. Mohanty, who's filed this case against the builder?
Actually, the association, our society has registered a case against the builder and the particular financial institutions, those who have extended the loan and the legal for that particular flat.
Vinay, I'm happy that over here the society has filed a case not just against the developer but also against the financial institution, because a lot of times home buyers get into a project or they enter into a purchase just because it is verified or authorized or approved by a particular bank or HFC, which as we keep saying on the channel is not really the right way to go. You need to do your own due diligence. But it's interesting that now consumers have finally started ensuring that the bank also has to pay up for its liability. What do you suggest Mr. Mohanty does over here?
Well, since the matter is in court, obviously you will have to await whatever is the decision of the court. But I just want to point out that somewhere in 2014, mid-2014, most of the registrars had stopped registering documents unless your name appeared on the patta. And then one of the advocates there went to court, Mr. Pradhan, I believe, and somewhere in October, November of 2014, the High Court of Orissa passed a judgment saying that it's not necessary for your name to be there in the patta, so that if you can establish your title, that's good enough. Now, we are not clear what exactly is the issue there, why is it not final? But if it's just an issue of the name not appearing in the patta, I think it's already covered by a High Court judgment, so that should help you in your case.
So essentially now he just has to sit there and wait till there is a judgment in this particular case. He cannot sell this property to anybody.
Well, I don't see an issue why he can't sell it, but the issue that seems to be is that the financial institutions are not funding it. So either you look for a buyer who is a cash down buyer who's not taking a loan, or you will have to wait a little and till this whole thing is sorted out.
Okay, and since you've anyway gone in a group, so chances are your case will be heard that much more faster. Moving on, we have Mr. Arora now, who's dialed in from Noida. Mr. Arora, how can we help you?
मैडम कनिका के जी।
Mr. Arora, बताइए।
हाँ, मैंने फ्लैट बुक कराया था नोएडा में। दो फ्लैट हैं, एक का पोजीशन मिल चुका है, एक का मिलना है। उसमें बिल्डर के साथ जो एग्रीमेंट किया है, एग्रीमेंट में लिखा हुआ है, ये मैं मानता हूँ कि मेरे को 18% टैक्स देना है अगर मैंने कोई भी इंस्टॉलमेंट डिले करी। 18% टैक्स मैंने देना है, राइट? मैं दे रहा हूँ। वो मैंने पे किया है, एक के लिए दूसरे के लिए भी पे किया है, जिसका पोजीशन मेरे को मिलना है। अभी पोजीशन मेरे को 2014 में मिलना था, अभी तक नहीं मिला। लेकिन बिल्डर ये कहता है कि अगर आपने कोई इंस्टॉलमेंट डिले करी है तो हम आपको कंपनसेशन जो एग्री कर रहे हैं वो नहीं देंगे अगर आपने कोई पेमेंट टाइमली पेमेंट नहीं करी है। तो कोई भी इंस्टॉलमेंट टाइमली नहीं करी, डिले करी है, जिसपे मैं इंटरेस्ट तो पे करूंगा लेकिन मेरे को कंपनसेशन नहीं मिलेगा।
अरोरा जी, ये बताइए कि आपने जो एग्रीमेंट साइन किया था बिल्डर के साथ, उसमें उन्होंने कॉम्पनसेशन कितना देने का वादा किया था अगर प्रोजेक्ट डिले होता है तो?
कितना वो लिखा हुआ है 3 महीने के लिए। मैं ये एग्रीमेंट की कॉपी खोल रहा हूँ, एक मिनट।
Right, while Mr. Arora checks his agreement copy, Vinay, very interesting query over there. अरोरा साहब के तरफ से डिले हुआ है तो उनको 18% इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा, लेकिन डेवलपर ये कह रहा है कि मैंने एग्रीमेंट में तो आपको लिख कर दिया है, लेकिन अगर आपके तरफ से डिले हुआ है तो उसके बाद मुझे आपको कॉम्पेंसेट करने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, even if I end up delaying possession in the property. Is that fair?
See, there are two ways to look at this. The first way is that there is a contract between two parties. You have signed the contract and ये जो terms हैं, you have agreed to these terms.
And Mr. Arora has kept his side of the contract.
Yes, he has. So the point is that you are charging me interest, that is fine. I have agreed to pay that. At the same time, you are saying that because you have delayed and even though you have paid me interest, I am not bound to give you compensation. Now, this portion of the contract seems to be unjustified. Now, no doubt that when it reaches court, the builder is going to point this thing out and say that it's an agreement. But I would still feel that a consumer forum especially would side with the flat buyer because you are already just paying interest on whatever is the delay. And vis-a-vis where the builder is dealing, and that too I believe there's a substantial delay in this case of 3 to 4 years. So I feel that the consumer forum will 100% support you and 100% give you some compensation. So you need not worry on this count, but you will have to go legal. Without going legal, this is not going to get sorted.
तो अरोड़ा जी, आपके पास एक ही रास्ता है, आपको कंज्यूमर फोरम के पास जाना ही पड़ेगा, बिल्डर के खिलाफ आपको केस दर्ज करना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उन्होंने तो लिख कर दिया है आपको एग्रीमेंट में कि वो कॉम्पेंसेशन आपको देंगे, इसलिए वो कॉम्पेंसेशन मना नहीं कर सकते आपको, लेकिन वो वसूलने के लिए आपको कोर्ट जाना पड़ेगा।
हाँ, मैं एक थोड़ी सी और आगे बात बढ़ाना चाहता हूँ कि अगर मेरे को कॉम्पेंसेशन नहीं भी दे रहे हो, हेलो,
हाँ जी बताइए।
हाँ, अगर वो कॉम्पेंसेशन नहीं दे रहे तो कितने टाइम के लिए नहीं दे रहे? वो तो 3 साल 4 साल डिले कर रहे हैं।
यही अरोड़ा जी, यही हम कह रहे हैं कि जितना आपका काफ़ी सारा डिले हो चुका है, तो आप अगर कंज्यूमर फोरम जाएंगे तो आपको ज़रूर कॉम्पेंसेशन मिलेगी ही मिलेगी। ये नहीं है कि ये 2-4 महीने का डिले, 3-4 साल का डिले है, तो आप जाइए कंज्यूमर फोरम के पास।
बेसिकली अरोड़ा जी, जैसे आपके तरफ से अगर डिले होता है पेमेंट में, तो पहले दिन से ही, डिले होने के पहले दिन से ही आपके इंटरेस्ट का मीटर चलने लगता है। उसी तरह जो है, अगर डेवलपर कोई डेट पर कमिट करता है और फिर डिलीवर नहीं करता है, तो पहले दिन से उसका भी जो है कॉम्पेंसेशन के लिए जो मीटर है वो चलने लगता है। तो उसको पहले दिन से जो पोजीशन डेट दिया उसके पहले दिन से उसको जो है आपको कॉम्पेंसेशन देना ही पड़ेगा, और इसके लिए आपको कंज्यूमर फोरम के पास जाना चाहिए और आपको रिलीफ मिल सकता है वहाँ पर। ठीक है, thank you very much for calling in. Let's move on now. We have Bijit who's sent in a query on our website www.mbnow.in. Now he wants to know if there is a law specifying how much super built up area a builder can increase at the time of possession. He also wants to know if the builder can refuse to provide documents for the approved increase in super built up area by the authorities. Now, Vinay, as far as I know, the law of the land says you should sell only on carpet area.
That
What
is
is your
true.
answer to Bijit?
At least as far as Maharashtra is concerned, it is very clear. MOFA is very clear. You can sell only on carpet and not built up also. And the question of super built up does not arise. This is a complete trick which builders have conjured up to put their hands deep into your pocket. And even what is super built up has changed from time to time. It was 20% and 30% and today it's even 100%. So it's not legal, first of all, for the builder to quote on that particular basis, and you should not agree to it. There is no law which supports this whatsoever.
There's no law that supports it. And also remember, there is a draft model agreement that the government has recently released, that the centre has released, and which the centre wants all states to adopt. In fact, it's already being rolled out in union territories as we speak. And even this draft model builder-buyer agreement very clearly says that flats can be sold only on carpet area. So if somebody is selling you something on super built up area or any other saleable area, etc., there are a lot of terms floating around in the market, then it is completely illegal and you should not be signing any of those agreements in the first place. Email query next, Udit Prabhakar has written in. Now he says that his grandmother expired on December 15, 2015. She had 4 daughters and 1 deceased son. Now all are married. A gift deed was executed in the favor of only 1 daughter. So the other 3 daughters went into appeal and have decided to go to court. Now he wants to know if a sister can take objection to a gift deed and if this gift deed can be revoked in the future. Also, is there any time limit for the revocation of a gift deed? Can a gift deed be challenged in court? A gift is something I give somebody because I want to give it to somebody. Can you actually revoke it?
Yes, it is revocable under certain circumstances, which I don't think will be applicable in this case, but just for theory's sake, generally what would happen is your gift deed for immovable property has to be registered. So long as I'm presuming that all this has been done properly, it's very difficult to challenge the gift unless you are going to say that there is something which normally vitiates a contract. For example, there is some coercion or there is some undue influence. These are things which can make a contract void. This can also make a gift deed void. It could also be that I can give a gift which will be revocable, but now since the person giving the gift is no longer alive, the question of revocation does not arise. But it can be revoked if we make it contingent on the happening of some event which is not within the control of the donor. So having said that, I think you're pretty much safe. If people do challenge it, that's fine, let them challenge it. But then they will have to establish that either she was of unsound mind or there was some kind of coercion, etc., which is very, very difficult to do in the case of a registered deed.
So essentially, it's a very difficult task for you to actually prove that there was something wrong when she gave that gift deed to her daughter. The best thing to do in this case would obviously be try and settle out of court, or else if you want to go the legal way, then get a lawyer. Mr. Pinto has dialed in from Mumbai. Mr. Pinto, how can we help you?
Yes, please. हेलो
हाँ जी बताइए.
हाँ मैडम, मैं क्या है जैसा मैं बताऊं कि मेरा जो टू रूम है, श्रेष्ठ बिल्डिंग है, पगड़ी बिल्डिंग है, वो बम्बई में. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि दैट दिस अभी नया पगड़ी रूल जो आया है ना, इट इज ऑन माय फादर्स नेम, द 2 रूम्स, बट द बिल्डिंग हैज बीन अंडर रीडेवलपमेंट, बट 4 साल हुआ इज नॉट टेकिंग द रेंट मैडम, द लैंडलॉर्ड एंड द ओनर, 2 in 1 is.
He's not taking the rent.
Yeah. So what is
Okay.
the way out? I've been selling him by post. So will that suffice, or I have to go to the court and pay the rent?
Okay, so essentially the pagadi is in the name of your father is what you said,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But we don't have a pagadi. I got the rent receipt, 2 receipts. But he's saying that if you get, you'll get 1 room because it is 1 room, 2 rooms. I can't give it in 1 person's name only. So you will get 1 room. The other room goes to them. So is it possible? Is it that way, madam? The rule?
The pagadi originally was for 2 rooms, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, so he has a pagadi for a 2-room flat in Mumbai. He doesn't live over there. He's been sending the rent by post and the landlord is not accepting it. The pagadi is in his father's name.
Well, first thing to do would be to request the landlord to move the rent receipt to your name. Second thing is, please keep tendering the rent by maybe speed post AD or through a lawyer, and keep all the evidence that you have tendered the rent, and that if they don't accept it, that's his problem. But at least you should have tendered the rent. There should be no fault of yours. So the way I would look at it, that if the building is going for redevelopment, then the total area occupied by you is what you should be getting. And if somebody is trying to tell you that I'm going to give you for one room and not for the other room, this doesn't really make sense. And just for that sake, just you as one person could stall the entire project, but of course you would have to go to court for that. So you'll have to just negotiate with the developer and with the landlord that either I get what is fair, or I will go to court, and then let the court decide whether what you're offering is fair or not. I'm sure you will succeed there though.
Right, Mr. Pinto, and that also means that you have to physically visit the particular property, speak to the landlord in question, and then decide on your future course of action. Also, Vinay, in a case like this, would you suggest that he puts this on paper or he takes a lawyer with him when he goes for that meeting?
Yes, it would be always better to have a professional who's well versed in these matters, because there are sometimes legal issues. Like for example, if you're not living in the flat and you're a tenant, then there is always the issue that the landlord could sue you and try to recover possession on that ground itself. So there may be a lot of legal implications. So better to have somebody who understands this when you go for negotiation, because builder is obviously a smart person. So you should have somebody very strong on your side as well.
So essentially, here's what you need to do, Mr. Pinto. आपको एक वकील के साथ वहाँ पर जाना चाहिए. वकील के साथ आपको प्रॉपर्टी पे जाना होगा. लैंडलॉर्ड जो मकान मालिक है उनसे मिलना होगा आपको, और उनसे बातचीत करनी होगी. बेसिकली आपका हक है कि अगर आपके पिताजी के नाम पर 2 रूम का फ्लैट है, तो आपके नाम पर भी वो पगड़ी जो है वो, क्योंकि ट्रांसफ़र हो जाता है फ्रॉम वन जनरेशन टू द नेक्स्ट जनरेशन, आपका भी हक बनता है उस 2 रूम के फ्लैट पर. और अगर ये रीडेवलपमेंट पर जा रहा है, तो जितना स्पेस बाकी लोगों को मिल रहा है 2 रूम के फ्लैट के लिए, आपको भी उतना ही स्पेस मिलना चाहिए. उतने स्पेस पर आपका हक है. जी
मैडम, इश्यू क्या है कि वो बोल रहा है कि आपके पास 2 रेंट रिसीट, अर्लियर रेंट रिसीट लैंडलॉर्ड का है, तो आपको एक ही आदमी के नाम पे है, तो आपको एक ही रूम मिलेगा, बल्कि 2 नहीं मिलेगा. ये प्रॉब्लम है, बेस प्रॉब्लम वो है.
इसमें मिस्टर पिंटो, सबसे जैसे विनय ने कहा था, सबसे बढ़िया रास्ता यही होगा कि आप एक वकील को लेकर जाइए और वकील के सामने बैठकर जो है मकान मालिक से बात कीजिए. अगर बातचीत से बात बन जाती है तो बेहतर होगा, नहीं तो फिर आपको कोर्ट जाना पड़ेगा इसके लिए. लेकिन आप अकेले पूरे रीडेवलपमेंट को रोक सकते हैं, और इसी में आपकी एक्चुअली ताकत है, और शायद इसीलिए जो है आपका मामला हल भी हो सकता है. Right? Moving on, we have a question now on our website. Abhishek has written in and says his family's flat share certificate is under their name. The title is clear. Now a third person has claimed a share in the flat. He gave a simple request letter from his advocate to the society regarding this. Now this letter is not from any government department. Now the claimant also does not have any official documents supporting the claim. However, on the basis of this third-party request, the society is not approving the sale of Abhishek's flat. What can he do?
Well, what the society is doing is completely wrong. The society has to look at its own member and only deal with the member. Anybody writing a letter is not sufficient ground for the society to say we will not transfer. Yes, if there is a court order preventing the society from executing the transfer, etc., or to the parting with possession in, say, by means of leave license, then fine, it's a different story. But what we understand here is that somebody's just written a letter. It is not correct or legal for the society to act on the basis of this letter. So I would advise you to point this out to the society via your advocate, or if you have one, or you directly approach the registrar. If you have already sold it, you can execute the agreement and let the purchaser then approach the registrar that I have made an application and the society is not approving the application. I am sure that it's a virtual certainty that you will win, because what the society is doing is legally incorrect.
So society is in the wrong over here, Abhishek, you're in the right. So go to the registrar of societies and get them to help you out. Email query next. Shashank Pore says that he booked a 1 BHK flat at Indiabulls Golf City at Saroli, Phase 2 in May 2013. Now this was done via the 80-20 scheme with a total value of 31.5 lakh rupees and a commitment of possession in 2016. Now, the builder has delayed the project and is now committing possession in 2020, that is 4 years down the line. Shashank wants to cancel his booking and get back the money. So, when he inquired with the developer, he was told 5% would be deducted as cancellation fee on the whole amount. Shashank says this is coming to 30% of the amount paid and is completely unjustified. How should he go forward? Obviously, it's totally unjustified. The delay is on the part of the developer. He's not wrong cancelling the
Well, I am presuming here that Shashank has not agreed to any such thing. But even if he has agreed, this is a usurious sum of money. So essentially now there would be two ways of looking at this, that either you pay that 30% under protest, get the remainder of your money out and then subsequently litigate on it and say that I have paid this under protest but this is something which is completely wrong, or you don't accept the money now and you fight it out totally. So either ways I think you would need to take this legal, and obviously as we say that Consumer Forum is your best bet. So you choose either of the two, but if you are accepting part payment, please do make sure that you put it on record that you are doing this under protest. Otherwise, you will lose that particular amount of money.
Ensure that you put it on record that you are doing this under protest and then take the money, or else just go to the court directly and fight it out. That's it on today's episode of Property Hotline. Vinay, thank you very much for coming in, answering all those questions. If you have any questions related to real estate, this could be regarding buying, selling, investing in property, legal issues like those we answered today, questions on taxes related to real estate or on home finance. We'll get the country's top experts to answer each and every one of those questions. So do send in your questions. IDs are flashing on your screens. Thank you very much for tuning in to Property Hotline.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.